Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good mornings, everybody. Welcome back to Critical Reading and Writings. Today, I would like to repeat my explanations about identifying the arguments because my explanations last week is very bad. We had technical errors, so you cannot watch the video in full, and then of course you cannot answer the question that I posed during the video. Now, talking about finding the arguments in literary works, first of all we have to understand about literatures itself. So here, literature's the same as other texts. It is a kind of communication, and the communications between the author and the reader. Yeah, this communications is mediumed by the story or by the poems, or we call it text. Yeah. So as you can see in the screen, there are two levels of communications. The first is extra-textual level. It is about the communication outside of the text between the real author and the real reader. While the second level is about the intratextual level. It is the communications that happen in the text, so in the story or in the poem or in the drama between the character in the story or in the drama, and then also the narrators in the story or the drama. Okay, so literature is a kind of communications between the author and reader through the medium of language in literary works. It can be poems, drama, fictions, etc. Next, the difference between the communications in the literary works, yeah, from other kind of text such as scientific article text or argumentations or um, descriptions, etc., is that literary work is a kind of multi-level communication. Yeah, why? Because there are more than one communication happen. So first level is the extra-textual. It is non-fictional communications level between the author and the reader in the real world. But these communications mediumed by the text. The text, it can be the poems, the drama, or the story. And in the text, there are also communications between the character, between the narrators and the narratees. So you can see in the screen, yeah, here in the text, in the text or fictional mediations levels, we have communication between narrators to narratee, the character in the story and the other character in the story. Here, for the real example here, the actual author and the real or the actual reader, yeah, in non-fictional communications level is like this. Yeah, as you can see, there is a person, supposing the person in the left is the author of Kancil, and the people on the right is the audience or the viewers or the readers of Kancil. Okay, that is the first communication. But in the story of Kancil, there are also communications between Ato and Ara and her brother. Yeah. Ato as a narrator in the story, Ara and her brother as the narratee. Narratee here are a character that hears the communication or listen the communication from the narrator. And then in the story also there is communication between the character, between Kancil, yeah, and buaya or crocodile, between Kancil and kerbau and ular, etc. Okay, so it is multi-level communication. So to sum up, literature as communication, first, that literatures is a kind of multi-layer or multi-levels of communication. Yeah, it is the communication between author to the reader in the real world. It is also about the communication of the narrator to the narratee in the story, and also the communication between character to other character in the story. Yeah, and then the second, it is a kind of indirect communication. Yeah, so for example, to say that don't be disobedient child because bla 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 bla, jangan kamu menjadi anak yang durhaka karena anak durhaka itu ini, ya. In the communication with literatures, you have to show, you have to tell in the story, for example Malin Kundang story. Okay, so instead of saying don't be disobedient child because blah 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 blah, yeah, literature give you indirect by showing the Malin Kundang story. Okay, so it is indirect. Next, so because it is multi-layer and then it is also about the indirect communication, yeah. So reader interpretation is the key to know the author message or the arguments. Okay. Now, how to know the author message in the arguments? Yes. Of course, we have to understand first about the literary elements. As we know that literary works is built or composed by the element. Literary works consist of element. It is a kind of a structure. Yeah? The structure that have many elements such as themes, character, plot, setting, diction, figure of speech, etc., etc. Okay, you have studied it in introductions to literatures with Pak Aryo, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Now we can find the arguments there in the literary elements, and then the second, be careful because literary works using lots of connotative expressions. Yeah, connotative expression. So in the connotative expression, it can have multiple meaning. Okay. For examples, when you read the story of Kancil Nyorong Timun, you will say that Kancil is the hero, Kancil is protagonist, so it teach us how to be clever. But for other reader, they will say that Kancil teach us about stealing, just like a corrupting in a clever way. So that's why Kancil Nyolong Timun is forbidden for school textbook because it teach us the way to steal in a clever way. Okay, so here, because literary works communicates in a connotative way, it has a multiple meaning, it depends on the reader's interpretation. Yeah, so you have to be careful in finding the arguments, and of course the arguments of the author will be multiple too. Yeah, we cannot say that student A interpretations is true while student B interpretations is false. No, we cannot say that, but we just say, okay, your interpretations is good, but your interpretations is good as long as your arguments, your claim, your evidence are strong. Okay, yeah. So there is no right or wrong. The matter is you have a good argument or not. Okay. Next. So now we go to the arguments, finding the arguments in literary works. Yep. Here we go directly to this. So you can see two table here. The first is the arguments in the actual definitions, yeah, and the second the argument in literary work. So back to the definitions of argument. Arguments at least consist of two elements. The first is claim. Yeah, claim is the statement that summarizes the main idea. Okay, statement about the main idea. Yeah. Whose statement? Of course, the statement of the author about the main idea. Okay. Next, there will be the reason too in argument. The reason here, the logics, yeah, or the evidence to support the claim, yeah, to show that the claim is true, okay, by giving, of course, about the logic, the evidence. Okay, now here we can compare the arguments, yeah, in the in this definition to the arguments in literary works. We can make it similar, the claim with the themes. Okay, why the claim similar to the themes? Because theme is about the main idea, yeah, the main idea or the topic, we call it also the topic, the main idea of or the topic of literary work, plus the opinion of the authors. Yeah, so it is the same like the claim. The claim consists of statement, yeah, and the main ideas. The statement here is the opinion. The main ideas is the topic. Yeah, topic plus opinion is the same as the theme in literary works. Okay. Next, the reason. The reason we can compare. We can make it similar to literary elements. To support that the theme in literary elements is right or not, true or not, yeah, we have to find the logics from the literary elements, or we have to find the evidence from the literary element, whether from the character, the plot, the setting, etc. Okay, so once again, to find the arguments in literary works, we need to find first the themes. Yeah, the themes. The theme here we can how to find the themes in literary works by finding the topic. The topic is the main idea, and the opinion or the statement about the topics. Okay, and then to um, prove that the themes is true, you need to find the support, the logic, or the evidence from literary elements like characters, plot, setting, conflicts, etc., etc. You have learned it in Pak Aryo's class. Next. Now, this is the examples of identifying arguments in literatures. Okay. For example, oh yeah, I'm sorry. The first step in identifying the arguments is first you have to read a whole story or whole lines of the poem or whole dialogues of the drama. Yeah. Why? Because you have to find the main idea, the topic. Yeah, okay. Now, after you read all, you will find the topics, the general topics or general issues of the story, of the poems, and the drama. Okay, and then after you find the topics, yeah, you go to the themes by finding the opinions of the topics. Opinion of the topics, or we call it as a theme. Yeah, in argument, it is a claim. And then after that, after you find the theme, yeah, you have to detail it to find the detail or find the support, evidence, or the logic in literary elements. Yeah, finding the detail or literary element here to support the theme is similar to reason as part of arguments. Okay, for example, real example, the text is Malin Kundang. Okay, Now, after you read all the text of Malin Kundang, now you decide the topic. What's the topic of Malin Kundang? Okay, we take the topic of Malin Kundang is the child obedience. Okay, child disobedient. I'm sorry, disobedient. Or in Indonesia, anak yang durhaka atau kedurhakaan anak. After that, uh, find the opinion of the topics. Yeah, for example, here, the opinion that I find is uh, that the child disobedient is caused by materialistic culture of the society. Okay, next, after I decide the themes, now I go to find the evidence or the logics that I can find to support the themes in the literary elements. Yeah, for example, here. So the literary element that I can use to support my claim, my themes, is the first. In Malin Kundang, people are coastal kinds of coastal peoples. Okay, so Malin Kundang people are a coastal people, and the coastal people usually are the traders. Yeah, and traders usually value things from profit or non-profit point of view. Something is valuable because something is profitable. Okay, so with this kinds of point of view, people didn't give respect to the marginalized or the poor. Okay, people only give respect to the rich or the have, because the have or the rich is profitable. Yeah, they have lots of money. Okay, while the poor people don't have money. So people in Malin Kundang story tend to be materialistic, so they didn't give respect to poor. Even they did not give a hand or help Malin Kundang and his mother. And so in Malin Kundang story, no one helped and care of him and his poor mother. But when he is rich, everybody know him, regard him as a part of society. So, yeah? So as you know, when Malin Kundang went back to his village, all the people um, know about him. All the people welcome him very much. Yeah, that shows that peoples in Malin Kundang are so materialistic. When Malin Kundang is poor, no one help him. But when Malin Kundang become rich, everybody goes to Malin Kundang. Everybody go to Malin Kundang. Okay. Okay, that's it. The example. But you have to pay attention that this is only my interpretation. Okay, you can have different interpretation. Yeah, as I told before, that because literary works having a multiple layer of communication, it use indirect kinds of communication, it speak in a connotative expression, so there will be multiple meaning, depends on the reader interpretation. Now here I am, as the reader of Malin Kundang, have such interpretation. You can have different interpretation as long as you give uh, strong evidence or strong reasons. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it, my explanations. This is the exercise that you can do here. Identify the arguments of the story. So the story is about the wolf and the lamb. It is very short story. It's a kinds of fable, just like a kancil. Yeah, you can read this, yeah, and then find the themes, and then also the uh, elements that can support the themes. Okay, that's all, my explanations. Thank you very much for your attentions. I hope there will be no other technical error that can block our way of learning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.